After the shock in the assembly hall, Lieutenant Commander Riley Grant was taken to the Tashar homeworld, Tashar Prime. The planet was unlike anything Riley had seen before. Towering crystal cities shone in the sky like giant stars. Strange machines flew between the towers. The air smelled sharp and clean, but there was a feeling of power everywhere. Riley was escorted by tall Tishar guards to the palace of High Matriarch Visari. The matriarch ruled the entire Tishar collective. She was a strong and proud leader with many eyes that could see far beyond human limits. Inside the palace, Riley felt small and unsure. He was just a human diplomat, but now the Tishar saw him as something more. Their bonded partner, their equal in some way. This bond connected them in a way no human could understand. The bond wasn't just a symbol or promise. It was real and powerful. Riley could feel faint thoughts from the matriarch in his mind. It was strange, like two radios tuned to the same frequency. The Tishar Council gathered. They whispered and looked at Riley with new respect. The ancient bond had changed everything, but not everyone was happy. Some of the Tishar elders looked angry and worried. They did not want to trust a human, much less be bound to one. The old ways were strict. Bonds were for family and sacred friends only. Riley tried to explain. "I didn't mean to do this, it was an accident. I just made a hand sign from Earth, a friendly sign." Visari nodded. "Yes, but your gesture is ancient to us. It carries meaning beyond your words. We must accept the bond and its rules." Meanwhile, news of the bond spread quickly across the galaxy. Other alien species began to worry. The Tashar were known as fierce warriors and skilled diplomats. Now, with Earth tied to them, many saw a new and unknown force rising. The Galactic assembly began to change. Allies of the Tashar became friendly to Earth. Enemies became suspicious. Riley realized Earth was at the center of a growing storm. At the same time, back on Tishar Prime, the bond gave Riley unexpected powers. He could share thoughts with the matriarch and feel her emotions. It was a deep connection. One night, Visari spoke to him in the quiet palace gardens. "You must learn our customs," she said softly. "The bond is not just a tie, it is a responsibility. You represent Tashar now." Riley listened carefully. He wanted to do the right thing for Earth and for the Tashar. He began to study Tashar history, culture, and politics. The more he learned, the more he understood the strength and pride of the Tashar people. They had survived wars and hardships for thousands of years. At the same time, Riley used Earth's technology and ideas to help the Tashar. He suggested changes that could make their government fairer and stronger. Some Tashar leaders liked his ideas, others did not. One day, an important meeting was called. Riley stood before the Tashar Council to speak. "I know this bond was a surprise," he said, "but we can use it to build a better future. Earth and Tashar can work together, share knowledge, and protect each other." The council members whispered among themselves. Slowly, some nodded, in agreement. But trouble was not far away. Several species who saw the bond as a threat began to prepare for war. They thought Earth and Tashar might join forces to dominate the galaxy. Riley received a warning message. A coalition of alien species was forming against them. He understood the danger. "We must show the galaxy that our bond is for peace," Riley told Visari. "We need to be strong and ready, but also open and honest." Visari agreed. She sent messages to other species, inviting them to talks and exchanges. At the same time, Riley helped train a new kind of force, a mix of human and Tishar soldiers who learned to fight together and use new tactics. Riley felt the pressure. He was a diplomat, not a warrior. But the galaxy was changing fast. The coalition sent a clear message: break the bond or face war. Visari refused. Instead, Riley made a bold choice. He challenged the coalition leaders to a trial by combat, but on human terms. This shocked everyone. The old way was a battle to the death. But Riley proposed a contest of minds, strategy, words, and cleverness. "Let us settle this not with blood, but with wit," he said. Many laughed or doubted, but the assembly accepted the challenge. Now Riley was not just a diplomat or accidental bonded partner. He was an accidental emperor, the symbol of a new future. He knew the trial would be hard, but he also knew humans were good at thinking fast, making jokes, and surprising their enemies. The trial was set. The galaxy watched, and the future of Earth, the Tashar, and many others hung in the balance. The day of the trial had arrived. The neutral planet Oroniski IV, orbiting a dying star, was chosen as the place for the great event. It was a huge arena, built not for fighting, but for debate, strategy, and spectacle. Representatives from thousands of worlds gathered to watch. Thor's Commander Riley Grant stood on the platform, his heart pounding. He was surrounded by Tashar warriors, alien diplomats, and the leaders of the hostile coalition. All eyes were on him. The coalition's champion, a tall and fierce warrior, named Grelthak, stepped forward. He was a veteran fighter from the insectoid Zalran species, known for brutal strength and little patience for tricks. Everyone expected a fierce battle to begin. Weapons were ready. The audience was ready for blood. But Riley raised his hand and then spoke clearly. "This is not a fight to the death," he said. "On Earth we have a tradition called combat of minds. It is a game of words, ideas, and quick thinking. I challenge you to face me in this way." The crowd murmured, in confusion. Some laughed. Others were curious. Grelthak frowned. "Words? What use are words against claws and blades?" Riley smiled. "Words can be sharper than any blade." The arena transformed. Huge screens lit up with words, puzzles, logic problems, and rapid-fire questions. It was a test of knowledge, wit, and strategy. The trial began. Riley used his knowledge of history, science, and even humor to answer questions and challenge his opponent. He told jokes, used sarcasm, and quoted old Earth stories, some even about knights and dragons. At first, Grelthak was confused. He was trained to fight, not to play with words, but soon he realized he could not ignore the power of Riley's mind. The crowd began to cheer for Riley. His style was different, refreshing, and exciting. The trial lasted for hours. Riley's quick thinking and calm under pressure impressed even his harshest critics. When the final question came, Riley delivered a clever answer that solved a puzzle no one had cracked before. The audience exploded with applause. Grelthak nodded in respect. "You have won this day, human." But the trial was more than a game. It showed the galaxy a new way to solve conflicts. Violence was not the only answer. High Matriarch Visari smiled. She knew the bond with Riley had changed her people in ways they never imagined. But there was a secret in the bond that Riley did not yet know. If the bond was broken without agreement, the Tashar would lose their place in the Galactic Assembly forever. This meant Visari could never easily end the bond, and that gave them strength, but also great risk. After the trial, the enemy, coalition, did not give up. They began moving warships toward Earth's space. The Galactic Assembly debated what to do. Some wanted to support Earth and Tashar. Others wanted to punish them for breaking old rules. Riley and Visari decided they could not wait for the assembly. They formed a new alliance, Joint Earth-Tashar Sovereignty. Together, they would defend their people and show the galaxy the power of their bond. Earth began to prepare for war like never before. Humans and Tashar soldiers trained side by side. Scientists shared technology. Culture mixed in new ways. The galaxy watched as the two very different species learned to work as one. Riley stood on the bridge of a new Earth-Tashar spaceship, looking out at the stars. He knew this was just the beginning of a much bigger story. The warships of the enemy coalition appeared on the edge of Earth's solar system. Their fleets were large and deadly, confident they would crush the new Earth-Tashar alliance quickly. They did not expect the strange strength that had grown from this unexpected bond. Lieutenant Commander Riley Grant stood in the command room of the flagship Unity. Around him were both human officers and Tashar warriors, working together as one team. It was strange to see such different beings moving in harmony. Humans with their quick hands and sharp minds, Tashar with their precise movements and deep focus. The enemy ships advanced toward Earth's colonies, but instead of retreating, the Alliance prepared to fight back. They had learned much from each other. Tashar warriors had adopted human tactics of surprise and flexibility. Humans had learned to use Tashar plasma weapons and shield technology. One of the engineers, a young human named Maya, had a bright idea. She took an old mining drone and attached a Tashar plasma lance to it. Then she programmed it with a simple AI. The result was a small but fierce fighting machine. Riley watched as the drone flew through the battle, dodging enemy fire and hitting key targets. It was a perfect mix of human creativity and Tashar technology. On another ship, Tashar soldiers began using human memes as battle chants. They roared out phrases like, "We can do this," and "Keep calm and fight on." Their enemies were confused by the strange words but feared the passion behind them. Meanwhile, Earth's hackers were busy. They found a way to upload Shakespeare's Yandir plays into the enemy fleet's decision computers. The sudden flood of poetry and drama slowed their systems and caused confusion. The enemy commanders could not believe that humans used words as weapons. The battle raged for days. The enemy coalition expected a quick victory, but found themselves fighting an unpredictable and clever enemy. Earth and Tashar forces pushed them back, planet by planet. Back in the Galactic Assembly, leaders watched with surprise. Some began to change their minds about Earth and the Tashar Alliance. Others grew worried that this new power could upset the balance of the galaxy. The Assembly called Riley to a special trial. He was accused of breaking ancient laws by using the bonding gesture. They said he caused chaos and risked war. Riley stood before the Assembly, calm but firm. "I did not choose this bond," he said. "But I have accepted the responsibility. We are not here to cause war, but to build peace." He then made a new gesture, a combination of the human handshake and the Tashar bonding sign. It was a simple sign, but full of meaning. "This is a new symbol," he said, "a way for different species to connect and understand each other. I ask the Assembly to accept gesture diplomacy, a new way to make peace and solve problems." Many in the Assembly were surprised. Some whispered that this could change everything. The vote was close, but in the end the Assembly agreed to try gesture diplomacy. It was a new beginning. The war with the Coalition slowed. Many members of the Coalition began to talk with Earth and the Tashar. Some even asked to join the new alliance. Riley returned to the Unity ship, tired but hopeful. Visari joined him on the bridge. "You have done well, human," she said. "The galaxy is watching us. We must continue to prove that this bond is strong and good." Riley smiled. "It's more than just a bond now. It's a chance for us to change the galaxy for the better." The stars stretched before them, full of mystery and promise. Together, humans and Tashar were ready for whatever came next. After months of fighting and talking, peace talks began. The Coalition, Earth, and the Tashar sat together on the neutral planet Uranus 4 again. This time, the mood was different. The terrible warships and weapons were quiet. Instead, there were hopeful faces and careful words. Lieutenant Commander Riley Grant was nervous but ready. He had come a long way since the day he made that simple hand gesture. Now, he was a symbol of a new future, one where different beings could work together no matter how strange or different. The High Matriarch Visari stood beside him. The bond between them was still strong and clear. They could share thoughts and feelings as if they were one. Riley began the meeting. "We have fought because we did not understand each other," he said. "But now we know that connection is possible. The bond between Earth and the Tashar shows what can happen when we trust and learn from one another." Leaders from the Coalition listened carefully. Some looked doubtful, others hopeful. One of the Coalition leaders, a tall, blue-skinned diplomat named Sarath, stood up. "This bond is strange to us," he said, "but we see that it has power. Can you teach us how to build such trust between our peoples?" Riley smiled. "It starts with small steps, sharing stories, working together, and respecting each other's ways." The talks continued for days. Slowly, old fears melted. Agreements were made, trade routes opened, plans for joint research began. The Galactic Assembly watched and learned. Gesture diplomacy became a new official method for peace. Back on Earth, people celebrated. Humans and Tashar shared food, music, and stories. Children from both species played together in parks and schools. The bond was more than political. It was personal. Riley and Visari met in the palace gardens, watching a group of children play. "This is what I hoped for," Riley said. "Not just peace, but friendship." Visari nodded. "The bond has changed us all." It was an accident, yes, but a powerful one. Suddenly, Riley's communicator beeped urgently. A new message had arrived from a distant star system, a warning. An ancient and dangerous species, long thought extinct, was waking. They had been watching the galaxy's changes with interest. The message was clear. "Prepare, we come." Riley and Visari looked at each other. The galaxy was peaceful for now, but new challenges were on the horizon. "We will face this together," Riley said. "Together," Visari agreed. The accidental bond that started with a simple hand gesture had grown into a powerful alliance. It had changed politics, war, and peace, but it was only the beginning. The stars waited, full of stories yet to be told. Captain Elias Rourke sat alone in the small room aboard the starship Kestrel. The hum of the ship's engines was the only sound around him. Outside the thick window, stars moved slowly, silent and cold. Elias stared at the distant points of light. He knew what waited ahead was dangerous, maybe deadly, but he was ready. Humanity had been watching the stars for many years, hoping to find others. Then they found the Ilyari, a great alien empire. At first, everyone thought the Ilyari were peaceful, but soon, things changed. The Ilyari sent a message to Earth, a warning. Then, they destroyed a human ship without explanation. Fear spread quickly. The Interstellar Council, a group of many species working together, decided to send someone to learn the truth. They wanted a spy, a scout, someone brave enough to enter the Ilyari space and come back alive. Many refused. The mission was almost certain death. Elias was chosen. He was a war veteran. He had fought in many battles for Earth and other human colonies. He was strong, clever, and had survived when many others had not. But there was another reason he was chosen. Classified files showed something strange. His DNA, his very blood, had a pattern that matched old Ilyari technology. Scientists didn't understand it. Elias didn't believe it at first. He thought it was a mistake. Now he was the only hope to find out what the Ilyari were planning. His small crew was a mix of humans and a few aliens from friendly planets. None of them trusted the Ilyari. They all knew the stories of the destroyed envoy. But they had no choice. They had to follow Elias into danger. The Kestrel slipped through the black space between stars. They crossed the border into Ilyari territory in silence. Elias felt the weight of every second. If they were caught, no one would come to save them. Suddenly, alarms sounded. "Captain, they've detected us," shouted Lieutenant Mira, the ship's navigator. Before Elias could give orders, a huge energy net wrapped around the Kestrel. The ship stopped moving. The crew held their breath. Seconds later, powerful Ilyari warships appeared all around them. Their tall, sleek forms shone with strange blue light. The crew of the Kestrel prepared for battle, but Elias raised his hand to stop them. "No weapons," he said quietly. "Let's see what they want." The Ilyari ships opened a beam. The Kestrel was pulled toward a massive ship, the Ilyari throne world. The human ship docked, and soldiers in shining armor boarded. Elias and his crew were taken to a large chamber inside the throne world. It was unlike anything Elias had seen before. Glowing walls, floating platforms, and soft music that seemed to touch the soul. Then she appeared, the Ilyari queen. She was tall, taller than any human, with skin that shimmered like stars. Her eyes were deep pools of silver light. Her hair flowed like liquid metal. Despite her alien appearance, there was a calm kindness in her smile. Elias stepped forward. "Captain Elias Rourke," she said. her voice clear and strong. "I have been waiting for you." Elias felt a chill. How could she know his name? How could she wait for him? The Queen's gaze held his. Then she smiled again. "I know you, human," she said softly. "I remember the fire." Elias wanted to ask what she meant, but before he could speak, the doors closed, and the chamber went dark. When the light returned, Elias found himself alone in a room. His crew was gone. He sat on a cold stone bench, his mind racing. What did the Queen mean by, "I remember the fire"? Why was he so important to her? And what did the future hold for him and humanity? He didn't have long to wonder. Soon, the doors opened again and a servant called him for a private audience. The mission Elias thought would end in death was only just beginning.